When we think of Earth's most uninhabitable places, a few famous names rise to mind: the scorching Sahara Desert, the frozen expanses of Greenland, the dense and overwhelming Amazon rainforest, and the wind-swept Gobi Desert. Each is legendary for its extremes, where survival is always a struggle. But these examples are only the beginning. Beyond them lie environments that stretch the very limits of human endurance. Places where searing heat, toxic gases, or crushing isolation make life nearly impossible. In this episode of Earthspective, we'll explore 10 of the harshest, most uninhabitable places on Earth. From volcanic lakes that turn animals to stone, to radioactive ghost towns, these are landscapes where nature, and sometimes humanity itself, has drawn a hard line against survival. Lake Natron, Tanzania. Few places on Earth look as surreal, or as deadly, as Lake Natron in northern Tanzania. Its surface glows a deep, eerie red, the result of mineral-rich waters and salt-loving microorganisms. But beneath this strange beauty lies an environment that defies life. The lake's water reaches temperatures of up to 60 degrees Celsius and is so alkaline it can burn skin and eyes. Birds that land on its surface risk becoming trapped, and smaller animals that fall in often emerge calcified, preserved in haunting stone-like forms. It's no wonder this place is often described as otherworldly. And yet, life adapts even here. Flamingos thrive on the lake's algae blooms, turning its hostile waters into a feeding ground. Humans, however, cannot claim the same resilience. For us, Lake Natron remains one of the most uninhabitable places on Earth, a striking reminder of how fragile we are in the face of Earth's extremes. Death Valley, USA. In southeastern California, Death Valley lives up to its ominous name. It holds the record for the highest temperature ever measured on Earth, a blistering 56.7 degrees Celsius. Even on ordinary summer days, the thermometer often climbs above 45 degrees, baking the desert floor in relentless heat. Water is scarce, shade even scarcer. The valley's salt flats and jagged mountains trap hot air, creating a natural furnace where dehydration strikes in hours, not days. Travelers have perished here simply by underestimating the conditions. Yet, paradoxically, Death Valley draws tourists and adventurers, eager to experience its extremes. But while short visits are survivable with preparation, long-term habitation remains impossible. Without artificial support, modern infrastructure, transported water, air conditioning, no human community could last here. Death Valley is more than a record setter. It is a stark example of how fragile human survival is when faced with Earth's hottest extremes. Mount Everest summit, Nepal and China. At 8,848 meters above sea level, Mount Everest is Earth's highest peak, and one of its most unforgiving. Above 8,000 meters begins what climbers call the death zone. Here, the air is so thin that the human body cannot take in enough oxygen to survive. Even with supplemental oxygen, climbers face brutal winds, sudden storms, and temperatures that can plunge below minus 40 degrees Celsius. Frostbite and altitude sickness stalk every ascent, and time is always limited. Stay too long at the summit, and death is inevitable. Remarkably, people continue to attempt the climb, driven by ambition and awe. But Everest's summit is not, and never will be, a place for permanent habitation. It is a temporary triumph, a reminder of the limits of human endurance. In the end, Everest is not just a mountain. It is nature's towering declaration that some places are not meant for us, at least not for long. Chernobyl exclusion zone, Ukraine. Not all uninhabitable places are shaped by nature. In 1986, The explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant released radioactive fallout across northern Ukraine. The nearby city of Pripyat was abandoned overnight, leaving behind empty streets, schools, and apartments frozen in time. Today, the Chernobyl exclusion zone remains one of the most radioactive places on Earth. Short visits are possible with precautions, and wildlife has astonishingly flourished in humanity's absence. Wolves, boar, and even bears roam freely where people once lived. But for humans, the invisible danger of radiation makes permanent habitation impossible. The contamination may linger for thousands of years, ensuring that Pripyat and its surroundings remain a ghost zone for generations to come. Chernobyl is not a desert, nor a frozen plateau, but a man-made scar, a place uninhabitable not because of natural extremes, but because of our own technological hubris. Atacama Desert, Chile. On the western edge of South America lies the Atacama Desert, the driest non-polar desert on Earth. Some valleys here have gone centuries without rain, making them more arid than even Mars. The soil is so parched and barren that NASA has tested Mars rovers in its dust. Few plants or animals can survive in such extreme dryness. Human settlements cling only to narrow oases, and farming is nearly impossible without irrigation. At night, the desert transforms. Skies so clear and free of moisture that astronomers have built some of the world's most advanced observatories here. The Atacama reminds us that uninhabitability can take many forms. It is not heat or cold, but the sheer absence of water that makes this desert so hostile. For humans, water is life, and without it, no place, no matter how beautiful, can truly be home. Kawah Ijen Volcano, Indonesia. In eastern Java, Kawah Ijen Volcano looks like something from science fiction. At its heart lies a turquoise crater lake, stunning from afar, but lethal up close. The lake is one of the most acidic on Earth, its waters capable of corroding skin and metal alike. Billowing from the crater are thick clouds of sulfur dioxide. When ignited, the gases burn in eerie blue flames that glow against the night sky, a sight both mesmerizing and terrifying. Sulfur miners, working under dangerous conditions, descend into this hostile environment with little more than cloth masks for protection. For outsiders, Kawah Ijen is a wonder of geology, but for habitation, it is unthinkable. Between the toxic air, corrosive water, and unpredictable volcanic activity, life here is limited to brief, perilous encounters. It is beauty and danger intertwined, a reminder that Earth's most extraordinary sights often come with the highest risks. East Antarctic Plateau, Antarctica. In the heart of Antarctica lies the East Antarctic Plateau, the coldest place on Earth. Temperatures here once plunged to -93 degrees Celsius. Cold so intense it shatters steel and makes breathing dangerous. No vegetation, no animals, and no permanent human presence exist here. Even research stations, located on less extreme parts of the continent, struggle with supplies, isolation, and machinery breaking in the cold. The plateau's endless ice sheets and howling katabatic winds make it a realm that no human could ever inhabit without heavy technological support. This place shows us that our species, adapted for temperate climates, is powerless against Earth's deepest cold. Antarctica is beautiful, vast, and awe-inspiring, but it is also a continent that will never truly belong to us. Wittenoom, Australia. Wittenoom in Western Australia looks like an ordinary abandoned town until you learn its history. Once a thriving mining settlement, it was built around the extraction of blue asbestos. For decades, workers and residents inhaled asbestos fibers, unaware of the lethal consequences. When the dangers became undeniable, Wittenoom was shut down. The town was abandoned, its buildings left to crumble under the desert sun. the government has since erased it from official maps, warning people never to enter. Asbestos dust still lingers in the soil and air, turning Wittenoom into one of the deadliest ghost towns on Earth. Unlike natural extremes of heat or cold, this is uninhabitability created by human exploitation, a community destroyed by the very industry that once sustained it. Tristan da Cunha, South Atlantic Ocean. Far out in the South Atlantic lies Tristan da Cunha, the most remote inhabited island on Earth. Home to fewer than 300 people, it sits over 2,400 kilometers from the nearest mainland. Isolation defines life here. Ships arrive only a handful of times per year, and there is no airport. If disaster strikes, a medical emergency, a storm, or volcanic eruption, outside help is days or weeks away. In 1961, an eruption forced the entire island to evacuate, highlighting its precariousness. While Tristan da Cunha is inhabited, its extreme remoteness makes survival fragile. It is not toxic gases or scorching heat that make it nearly uninhabitable, but simple distance from the rest of humanity. Sometimes danger comes not from the land itself, but from the absence of connection. Danakil Depression, Ethiopia. At the northern edge of Ethiopia lies the Danakil Depression, often called the hottest place on Earth. Average daily temperatures exceed 35 degrees Celsius year-round, with geothermal springs bubbling sulfur, acids, and gases from deep underground. Its landscape is one of alien beauty: neon green pools, salt flats stretching to the horizon, and volcanic craters that constantly shift. For many, it resembles another planet more than part of our own. Despite these extremes, Afar communities have lived at the edges of the Danakil for centuries, extracting salt and trading across deserts. But the Central Depression itself remains uninhabitable, too hot, too toxic, too unstable for human settlement. The Danakil is a place where life clings only to the margins, and even there, only with difficulty. It is Earth at its most extreme, a harsh reminder of the thin line between survival and desolation. From caustic lakes and burning deserts to radioactive ghost towns and frozen plateaus, these places show us the limits of human endurance. They remind us that while we can adapt, innovate, and endure, there remain environments on Earth that push back, places where life itself becomes nearly impossible. Yet, even in these harshest corners, we find traces of resilience. Flamingos feeding at Lake Natron, astronomers unlocking the universe in the Atacama, communities enduring isolation on Tristan da Cunha. Even here, life finds a way, but always on borrowed time. Thanks for watching Earthspective. If you enjoyed this journey to Earth's extremes, subscribe and join us for the next episode.